All right, let's talk about handling peptides. Today, we're going to walk through a complete step-by-step guide on how to do this right. We're going to cover everything from turning that freeze-dried powder into a liquid to nailing the exact dose every single time. It's all about doing it safely and effectively. So let's jump right in. You know this quote right here? It hits the nail on the head. This is the #1 place where people go wrong. Getting the math right is everything. And because these compounds are so incredibly potent, we're talking about micrograms here, a tiny little mistake can mean you're getting the wrong dose or you're just wasting a really expensive product. So yeah, getting this right isn't just a suggestion, it's about safety. So you might be wondering, why do peptides come as a powder in the first place? Well, the answer is a fancy word, lyophilization. It's basically a high-tech freeze-drying process that makes them super stable for shipping and long-term storage. But it also means the very first thing you have to do is turn that powder back into a liquid you can actually use. That process is called reconstitution, and that's what we're going to master today. Okay, before you even think about mixing anything, let's talk about prep. Seriously, the key to doing this smoothly and safely is having everything you need ready to go. You want all your tools laid out on a clean surface before you even start. Here's your essential checklist. First up, obviously, the vial of peptide. Then you'll need bacteriostatic water. We'll get into why that's important in a second. You'll need insulin syringes for super accurate measurements, some alcohol swabs to keep things sterile, and of course, a sharps container to get rid of your used needles safely. Trust me, having all this ready makes the whole thing a breeze. Now, this is a big one. The kind of water you use is absolutely critical. Bacteriostatic water, or BAC water, has a tiny bit of benzyl alcohol in it. Why? Well, that acts as a preservative. It stops bacteria from growing in the vial, which is super important since you'll be drawing multiple doses over time. Sterile water, on the other hand, has no preservative, so once you open it, it's only good for one-time use. That's why, for pretty much all peptides, BAC water is the gold standard for safety. All right, supplies are ready to go. Now for the main event, the hands-on part of actually mixing your peptide. This is where your technique really matters. Okay, let's walk through this nice and slow. Step 1. Disinfect the rubber stoppers on both vials. Easy. Step 2, a little pro tip, draw air into your syringe, the same amount as the water you're about to pull out, and inject that air into the BAC water vial. This equalizes the pressure and makes it way easier to draw the liquid. Then you withdraw your water. Now, here's the most crucial part. When you inject the water into the peptide vial, do it slowly. Aim for the side of the glass so the water just trickles down. Whatever you do, don't spray it right onto the powder. Finally, just gently swirl the vial until it's all dissolved. That's it. And this right here, this is probably the most important thing to remember about handling. Peptides are delicate. They're just fragile chains of amino acids. If you shake them like a cocktail, you can literally break them apart. You'll damage their structure and they'll become way less effective, maybe even useless. So remember the rule. Swirl, don't shake. Okay, we've totally nailed the physical part. Now, let's switch gears to the mental part, the bit that sometimes trips people up, the dosage math. But don't worry, we're going to make this super simple. So why are we drilling down on the math so much? Because with peptides, precision is everything. A tiny little miscalculation isn't just a small mistake. It could mean you're taking double or half the dose you're supposed to. Getting this right means you're being safe, you're going to get consistent results, and you're not going to throw your money down the drain by wasting product. Okay, let's walk through a super common example. Say you've got a vial with 5 milligrams of BPC 157. First things first, you need to think in micrograms. So 5 milligrams is 5,000 micrograms. Got it? Now you add 2 milliliters of BAC water. So you've got 5,000 micrograms in 2 ml of liquid. To figure out the concentration per milliliter, just divide. 5,000 divided by 2 is 2,500 micrograms per ml. Easy enough. Your dose is 250 micrograms. So how much liquid is that? You divide the dose you want, 250, by the concentration, 2,500. And that gives you 0.1 milliliter. On a standard insulin syringe, 0.1 milliliter is just 10 units. See? Not so bad. Now, if you want to make your life way easier and avoid almost all the math, try this simple ratio method. If you have a 10 milligram vial, just add exactly 1 milliliter of BAC water. Now look what you have, 10 mg per 1 milliliter. That's a super easy ratio to work with. On a 1 milliliter syringe, that means every 10 units you draw is exactly 1 milligram of peptide. So 20 units is 2 milligrams, 30 units is 3 milligrams, you get it. This is a fantastic way to minimize calculations and the chance of making a mistake. So you've mixed it, right? You know your dose, you're not quite done yet. The final piece of the puzzle is storing it properly. This is what makes sure it stays just as potent on the last dose as it was on the first.
This chart makes it crystal clear. When it's still a powder, it's incredibly stable. You can pop it in the freezer and it'll be good for years. But, and this is a big but, once you add that water and it becomes a liquid, the clock starts ticking. That reconstituted liquid has to be stored in the refrigerator and it'll generally stay potent for a few weeks.
And here are a few more pro tips for you. First, once it's a liquid, keep it in the fridge away from light. And listen to this one. Never, ever refreeze a peptide after you've mixed it. The ice crystals that form can destroy it. Also, before you even open a new powdered vial, let it sit out and come to room temperature first. That stops condensation and moisture from getting inside. Oh, and for some peptides, you might even consider aliquoting. That is, dividing a big batch into smaller, single-use vials to avoid freeze-thaw cycles. Whew, we have covered a ton of ground, so let's wrap it all up. We're going to focus on the golden rules, the key things that will help you avoid the most common mistakes that people make. So if you forget everything else, just remember these 3 things. Number 1, bad math. Always, always, always do your dose calculations before you add a single drop of water. Number 2, bad handling. Be gentle. Don't shake it and let that water trickle down the side of the vial. And number 3, using the wrong solvent. While BAC water is the standard, you should know that some peptides just won't dissolve in it and need something else. So always double-check the specific instructions for your compound.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple idea. Precision is potency. From gathering your supplies to calculating the dose to storing it right, every single step matters. When you follow these guidelines, you're not just being effective, you're being safe, and you're taking full control of the process. So the only question left is, are you ready for your next vial?